You clicked on this video because someone in your life drives you completely insane. Maybe it's your boss who never listens, your friend who talks over everyone, your coworker who takes forever to make a simple decision, or that family member who explodes at the smallest thing. Here's the twist. A Swedish communication expert named Thomas Erikson spent 20 years training over 5,000 executives and discovered something shocking. The problem isn't them, it's that you're speaking the wrong language. This system has been used in over 50 million assessments worldwide. It's based on research that goes back 4 centuries before Christ to Hippocrates. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why that difficult person isn't an idiot at all. You've just been trying to communicate with them in a language they don't speak. Because here's what matters. The majority of people around you function completely differently than you do. And if you don't learn this, you'll spend your entire life surrounded by people you can't understand. Thomas Erikson came up with this concept after meeting a man named Stura. Stura was in his 60s, self-employed and bitter. He complained constantly that he was literally surrounded by idiots. His employees, his customers, everyone. Erikson realized something. Stura defined an idiot as anyone who didn't think or act exactly like him. That was it. Different equals stupid in Stura's mind. And this is where most people fail at communication. They think communication happens when they speak. But that's wrong. Communication happens on the listener's terms. Every word you say gets filtered through their references, their biases, their preconceived ideas. You could make perfect sense to yourself, but if it doesn't match how they process information, your message dies. Behavior is a function of personality times surrounding factors. You can't control someone's personality, but you can control how you adapt to it. Most people never learn this flexibility. They just keep speaking louder, getting frustrated, and wondering why no one understands them. The system Erikson uses isn't new. Hippocrates defined 4 temperaments 400 years before Christ. The Aztecs used 4 elements to categorize people. In 1928, psychologist William Moulton Marsden created the modern DISC model. This isn't trendy psychology. This is ancient wisdom refined by a century of research. Here is the 4-color system that Erikson uses to categorize human behavior. 1. Red behavior. The Dominators. Reds are task-oriented extroverts. Think fire. They're bold, ambitious, driven. Natural leaders who make decisions fast and take risks without hesitation. Their strengths? They set ambitious goals and never give up. They're decisive, honest, brutally direct. They live to compete and win. If there's a leaderboard, they want to be at the top. But here's how everyone else sees them. Impatient, aggressive. Everything takes too long. They break rules, demand control, and disregard feelings. They focus on the destination, not the journey, so details get missed. And their temper? It's a shot glass. Fills up fast, explodes quickly, but empties just as fast. What stresses a red? Lack of results, inefficiency, routine, having their authority challenged. When stressed, they blame everyone else, become excessively demanding, and shut everyone out to work even harder alone. Here's the critical part. If you need to communicate with a red, be quick and blunt. Skip small talk, stick to the topic. Show them you work hard and take initiative. Never back down in a confrontation or you lose their respect forever. When giving feedback, deliver facts without sugarcoating. Use concrete examples tied to results or money. They'll argue violently, but don't yell back. 2. Yellow behavior. The enthusiasts. Yellows are relationship-oriented extroverts. Think air. Optimistic, cheerful, always hunting for the next fun thing. They're curious, persuasive, and light up every room. Their strengths? Creative and resourceful. They think outside the box. They're enthusiastic, engaging, and make people feel important. They build wide networks of friends. They make decisions based on gut feeling. And they believe new equals good. But here's what drives others crazy. They talk too much and listen poorly. They dominate conversations and interrupt constantly. They're careless and unstructured. They hate routine, forget deadlines, and ignore details. Their optimism is unrealistic. They overestimate their abilities and underestimate time. And they're self-centered. Every conversation somehow circles back to them. What stresses a yellow? Feeling invisible or overlooked, skepticism, too much structure, isolation, constant criticism. When stressed, they seek even more attention. They talk excessively and propose wild, outlandish plans as a coping mechanism. Their anger is like an everyday drinking glass, rises gradually, spills messily, but manageable. To communicate with a yellow, be warm and enthusiastic. Smile. Use open body language. Compliment them. Focus on big picture and new ideas, not details. When giving feedback, be persistent and discreet. Give criticism privately with supporting facts, because they'll defend immediately. Make them repeat agreements or write them down. Their listening and memory are weak. 3. Green behavior, the stabilizers. Greens are the most common profile. Relationship-oriented introverts. Think Earth. Balanced, kind, excellent team players who prioritize the group over the individual.
Their strengths? Loyal and reliable. They commit long-term to tasks and relationships. They're calm, tolerant, and bring serenity to chaos. They're thoughtful listeners who genuinely care about others without interrupting. But here's the problem. They're passive and indecisive. They avoid taking initiative or responsibility. They just wait. They resist change fiercely because stability is everything. Change equals stress, and they're conflict avoidant to a fault. They say yes when they mean no to keep the peace, which makes them unreliable. Worse, they gossip behind people's backs instead of confronting directly. What stresses a green? Losing security, unexpected changes, fast changes, unfinished tasks, conflict of any kind. When stressed, they become reserved, cold, hesitant. They exhibit passive-aggressive stubbornness by refusing to change or act. Their anger is a 50-gallon beer barrel, takes years to fill, but when it explodes, it washes everything away in an unstoppable flood. Greens are at the highest risk for burnout because they internalize everything. To communicate with a green, prioritize security and kindness. Respect their need for peace and quiet. Provide detailed step-by-step plans. Avoid unexpected changes. When giving feedback, be gentle but clear. Use concrete examples focused on how their behavior makes you feel, not just facts. Deal with conflict privately. Don't backtrack, but reassure them you still like them. 4. Blue behavior. The Analysts. Blues are task-oriented introverts. Think water, focused intensely on quality, details, and preparation. Reserved, logical, systematic. Their strengths? Perfectionists. If something's worth doing, it must be done properly. They are accurate and fact-oriented. They research thoroughly and stick to logic and rules. They're modest and unassuming. They don't need applause because they know they're the expert. They're prepared and reliable. Meticulous planning eliminates surprises. But here's what frustrates everyone else. They're overly critical and suspicious. They see errors and risks everywhere, which kills morale. They stagnate on decisions because the journey matters more than the destination. Caution prevents action. They're aloof and cold-hearted. They keep distance and have zero interest in small talk, and they're pedantic and detail-obsessed. They get so caught up in minutia that everything takes forever. What stresses a blue? Unexpected, spontaneous changes, uncertainty, risk, unannounced surprises, careless mistakes. When stressed, they become excessively pessimistic. Gloom and doom everywhere. They become unbearably pedantic, slowing their pace to a crawl and criticizing constantly. They manage stress through constant minor grumbling, like a leaking tap that regulates internal pressure. To communicate with a blue, be meticulous and well-prepared. Stick exclusively to the task. Avoid personal questions or emotional displays. Use exact numbers. Stress quality. When giving feedback, provide specific, written, detailed examples. Use logical language like quality and analyze. Skip the praise sandwich. Be ready for detailed counter-questions because they'll challenge everything. Now, here's what you need to understand. About 80% of people show a combination of two colors. Only 5% are dominated by a single color. You're probably a mix. The person frustrating you is probably a mix. The system organizes behavior along two axes: task-oriented versus relationship-oriented, quick/extroverted versus reflective/introverted. Red and yellow move fast and talk loud. Blue and green move slow and think deep. Red and blue focus on the task. Yellow and green focus on people. The best teams have all four colors. Red and yellow together create fast energy and quick ideas. Blue and green produce careful, thoughtful work. Red and blue balance results with quality. Red accelerates, blue breaks. Yellow and green balance enthusiasm with calm. Yellow brings energy, green brings stability. But put opposites together without self-awareness and you get disaster. Yellow and blue clash because one wants to brainstorm wildly while the other demands detailed analysis. Red and green clash because one demands fast change while the other needs slow stability. The solution? Adaptation. You must tune into the other person's frequency first. Treat a red with red behavior. Treat a yellow with yellow behavior. This builds trust. Then you can guide the conversation where you need it to go. Think about your life right now. Your boss who micromanages every detail? Probably blue. Your friend who always cancels plans last minute? Probably yellow. Your partner who avoids every difficult conversation? Probably green. Your sibling who picks fights over nothing? Probably red. Once you identify their color, you adjust. With your blue boss, come prepared with detailed reports and data. With your yellow friend, get commitments in writing and follow up. With your green partner, create safe private spaces for honest talks and reassure them constantly. With your red sibling, stand your ground, speak directly, and don't take the bait when they explode. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about flexibility. It's about recognizing that communication happens on their terms, not yours. You can be right and still fail to communicate. You can have the best intentions and still create conflict. Because if you're speaking red to a green or yellow to a blue, you're not communicating at all. You're just making noise. So here's what you've learned today. Human behavior breaks down into 4 core patterns. Red dominators who drive toward goals with force. Yellow enthusiasts who light up rooms and chase novelty. Green stabilizers who value harmony and resist change. Blue analysts who perfect every detail and minimize risk. This isn't pop psychology. This comes from Hippocrates, the Aztecs, and a century of modern research. Over 50 million people have used this assessment. Thomas Erikson trained over 5,000 executives with this exact framework. It works because it's based on how humans actually function, not how we wish they functioned. Now imagine what happens next. You walk into work tomorrow and your coworker who always derails meetings? You see the yellow. You adjust. You keep them on track without killing their enthusiasm. Your family dinner where someone always gets offended? You see the green. You approach conflict differently. You speak to their need for security. Your friend who always criticizes your ideas? You see the blue. You come prepared with logic and data instead of getting defensive. You have 2 options now. You can ignore this and keep doing what you've always done. Keep speaking your language and wondering why no one understands. Keep labeling different people as idiots because they don't think like you. Keep hitting the same walls in the same relationships. Or you can practice this. Start identifying colors in every conversation. Start adapting your approach. Start speaking their language first before expecting them to speak yours. And slowly, the people who used to drive you insane start making sense. Not because they changed, because you learned how to reach them. This is just the beginning. If you want more psychology that actually works in real life, subscribe. We're breaking down why people are the way they are and how you can use that to your advantage in your work, relationship, and life in general. Simple insights, quick lessons, no fluff. Because the truth is simple. You're not surrounded by idiots. You're surrounded by people speaking different languages. And now you know how to understand every single one of them.